everyone, and welcome back to our podcast, Mage Sight. I'm Drew.
I'm Josh.
And I'm Chris.
How are we all doing today?
Stomach hurts a little bit, finding out that I'm lactose intolerant.
With age comes bodily changes, and there is one. We also had a lovely afternoon, mid-morning, playing with a bubble gun with our daughter, who is obsessed with bubbles. She's the bubble princess. So, that was fun. But now, she's tuckered out from running back and forth, chasing bubbles. She's downstairs, watching Gaddy, and we were taking the opportunity to record an episode.
Right. I'm doing pretty well, too.
Good. He was outside with us, with Fred, running up and down. Well, we weren't running up and down. Fred was running up and down while we watched. Anyway.
Lovely morning.
It was a lovely morning. Today, we are actually talking about Mage Sight.
On Mage Sight.
So, would you like to explain to us what that is?
Awakening is a metaphor for opening one's eyes to the truth. Once open, however, they cannot be shut again. The primary consequence of this is Mage Sight, the ability to perceive the supernatural in one's surroundings. This always-on magical sense is called Peripheral Mage Sight, but a mage can choose to put more attention on it. Doing so, however, is distracting at best and dangerous at worst. If they do so choose, the mage can concentrate on these supernal perceptions with the hope of deriving a stronger understanding of the effects they create. This is called Active Mage Sight. Each of the Arcana offer mages a unique sensory ability under Active Mage Sight, potentially offering clues to an ongoing riddle. Still, that is often not enough to gain sufficient understanding, and the mage may decide to concentrate further yet on the phenomenon. Doing so is called Focused Mage Sight, because it requires a mage's attention to remain solely on their object of study during the practice, even going so far as to manipulate mana in the area. Due to its nature, Focused Mage Sight has the highest potential to reveal information of supernatural phenomena, but that increased utility comes with the potential of alerting other supernatural beings to a mage's study. Practically speaking, with Focused Mage Sight, a mage may attempt to reveal information about their subject or further scrutinize it to hopefully allow better revelations. So let's talk about Peripheral Mage Sight. Kind of specifically, I guess it's limited to things that are kind of actively happening around you and not just, someone has some passive spell going, but you wouldn't necessarily know about that unless you were really looking for it.
Peripheral Mage Sight is mostly experienced as sort of an alarm bell going off.
Spidey senses.
Yeah, that's a perfect example. A mage doesn't detect a spell that's in the area. It's when something is when magic is happening, when something is affecting them or something that their senses are picking up. One of the best things for this means that a mage always knows when someone's casting a spell on them because their little sight will go off.
Mm-hmm.
So there's no real sneak attack in the sense that once you attack, they can. You have the element of surprise in that first moment, and after that, they're and now they can be ready for battle.
As for what the mage is actually experiencing with Peripheral Mage Sight, that is personal to them. It could be that they actually hear or experience something like fairies whispering in their ears.
No, this is when they're recognizing magic somebody else has casted?
It's whenever a supernatural effect goes off in their vicinity as detected by their senses.
Okay, cool.
You're in a haunted house and a ghost is trying to possess you. They know that is starting to occur. But that's not sufficient by itself for them to actually see everything that's going on, and that's where the active sight comes in.
You get that hint, you're I don't know, walking through the mall or something, and you get a hint of someone's casting magic. And then you turn on Active Mage Sight to try and see where it's coming from, who's casting it, and maybe even what's being cast.
It's also not limited to supernal things happening. It could really be anything that your Mage Sight could detect. So any death-related effect that maybe a vampire is performing could activate not activate, but it could trigger your Peripheral Mage Sight, and you'd know that it's happening, not necessarily what's happening, but something.
Actually, that's sort of the fun of Periphery, is that actually it doesn't actually matter what your Arcana is. It'll pick it up no matter what.
But it will pick up vampires, or it will pick up if there's a ghost, not even a ghost trying to do something, but a ghost in the area.
It would have to try to manifest, I think.
Or use a power in your vicinity.
Yeah.
But then it would. Okay. Cool. So, werewolves. Question about that.
Mm-hmm.
When it comes to Peripheral Mage Sight. If they're in their human form, you probably wouldn't notice them. But if they're in their wolf form, would that set off Peripheral Mage Sight?
I would imagine if you were watching them transform, it would.
Okay, but not if, say you're in the woods or something or whatever, and you may not know it's there, you just see it run by or feel it run by.
So, werewolves are creatures of spirit who may have their supernatural powers beyond their transformation, and if they begin to use those abilities, the mage would be aware of it.
But not necessarily when they're just in their wolf form being wolfy.
Well, I think of it that as soon as the transformation starts, so say things begin to shift in form, the mage is aware of it as it's happening.
Yes, but then they just wouldn't.
So they know that it's something big is starting.
Mm-hmm. Cool.
Okay, I think we kind of went over everything with Peripheral Mage Sight. It's not a lot to go over. It's mostly just the Spidey sense thing.
Mm-hmm.
So let's move on to Active Mage Sight. What is it that Active Mage Sight would reveal about an effect or maybe a spell that can actively be seen or sensed, I should say, in an area?
Right. So when a mage activates their Mage Sight, the reality in front of them is overlaid with the symbolism of their path. They begin to see things associated with things of the past. So Mastigos would see the chains that connect and bind things. The Thyrsus. The Thyrsus would see the song that connects everything. Now, those symbols, if they are interrupted or if they are affected by something supernatural in the area, the mage would immediately see that change. When I say the path, you actually gain information immediately of the two ruling arcana of your path. They actually gain some information directly about that. So, for instance, life arcana. If you have life arcana as a Thyrsus, you can actually see if something is alive or not. With space, you actually, while under Active Mage Sight, actually know the exact distance between anything that you see. Each of them have their own effects. But yeah, they can see that the symbols have been interrupted or changed in some fashion. And so they know that a magical effect is occurring here. Now, you can only see, space sees space.
Prime sees Prime.
Prime is an interesting one. Because Prime actually sees, they immediately know if the effect is actually a spell versus something else.
Because it sees the truth.
Right. So Death would identify the effect of a ghost, but it wouldn't be able to know that a life effect was causing the same effect. Or it would just know that there's something happening.
So, question when it comes to Active Mage Sight.
Mm-hmm.
Since you do see the symbols in your path, when those symbols are changed, if you are, let's say, a Fate Mage, but the spell that was cast on that building is a matter spell, as the Fate Mage, can you only tell that something was changed, but you can't tell that it's a matter spell specifically? Or can you see the matter spell, that you know it's a matter spell? They
may have detected something happen there with their peripheral, but they may not be able to identify that there's anything going on at all.
Even with Active Mage Sight.
This is the advantage of Prime, because it can identify the spell, period.
This is why, as you play the game and you gain experiences, broadening your magical abilities is kind of important so that you can react to the other magic. Because if you don't see it, you can't really fully react to it. I mean, you can, just it makes life more complicated. It's
also why, as players, that having a broader set of Arcanum can be better, because it can give you more perspectives. Especially since most knowledge spells are easy to learn, that just having a little bit of knowledge of a few Arcanum can give you a lot of assets, a lot more knowledge about things that are going on.
It's also why having a broad magical cabal is also a good idea. Like when you're playing the game, making sure that all of your characters are kind of like filling in the gaps for the other characters. Mm-hmm. Which is harder to do when it's only the two of us playing, but it will be fun. Yeah, I know. I hear feet.
Yeah, that might make it a little tough, just because it's kind of it costs a mana to turn on Mage Sight that is not part of your ruling Arcana. So not having a party with a wide set of ruling Arcana is sort of an issue with that.
It can be hindering because, you don't have it's limiting because you only have a finite understanding versus a broad understanding.
Mm-hmm. So let's move on to how Mage Sight is actually kind of distracting to keep active, because you're kind of constantly being bombarded with these supernal symbols that there's so much information behind them that's kind of almost information overload to try to understand everything.
That's exactly what was going through my head. I was like, information overload. It's overstimulating.
Right.
Just so much. It's almost so much information that you can't parse all of it if you just keep it going all the time.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So, and that actually helps the game in a number of ways, because it means you can't always have Mage Sight active. There's a difference when you're playing and you have to deal with like normal situations versus magic.
Also, like, just, I don't know, this is the kind of way I'm looking at it. Having your Mage Sight up is sort of like you're reading the room, you're assessing the room and the exits and all of that stuff or whatever, but you can't keep scanning the room the entire time you start fighting the people, because, you got to pay attention. But you have your plan, you know where you're going because you already scoured the room.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. In addition, there are some things that you can see outside of what we've talked about, magical effects. There are some things that can be seen in Mage Sight directly.
Mm-hmm.
So mages have an aura called a nimbus. Basically, when the nimbus becomes visible in Mage Sight when they're casting a spell. So if you have that open, you can actually identify a mage by the spell they're casting. Nimbuses are sort of unique per mage, sort of a representation of their own magical identity and connection to the Supernal.
The way I like to think of it is it's sort of their fingerprints. It's their perfume. It's that thing that you walk into the room and you're like, oh, I know who was here.
Yeah, nimbuses also leave the fingerprint as like an after image of a spell. So something that had a spell on, a mage would be able to see that effect on that object.
So let's go into Focused Mage Sight. And actually, in particular, if you're using Focused Mage Sight on a spell on, some supernal truth, then you would be able to see the caster's signature nimbus in that spell.
What's left behind the perfume? That's how I think of it.
And everything up to this point is like sensory, so like Mage Sight is communicated through your senses. Focused Mage Sight is when you turn your attention to something and you begin to push yourself into it to see more. I've heard an example that like Active Mage Sight is like going to the aquarium and looking at the fish inside, while Focused Mage Sight is like sticking your head into the water. You put yourself into the thing to get more information.
Would a similar way of looking at that be that with Active Mage Sight is like looking at a car, and Focused Mage Sight would be opening it up and taking it apart?
Opening the hood and looking through the engine.
Yeah, opening the hood, looking through the engine.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and you could end up like messing it up while you're doing it, because you are, tampering with the engine. You're putting your hands where it doesn't belong.
When you're doing Focused Mage Sight, you could actually damage the spell?
Not the spell itself, but you could damage other people's ability to look at. Basically, what will end up happening is that your nimbus gets like plastered all over it, and all they'll see is you.
Yeah, to keep the analogy going, it's kind of like you might strip the screws on it, so people can't take that thing apart, or maybe they can't put it back on as easily.
Okay.
They'll see your fingerprints and handiwork all over the thing, and they won't be able to tell what's you and what's it.
I know that this person strips the bolts or always tightens the bolts too much or whatever.
Well, so like I said, like putting your head into the aquarium. Well, if your head is dirty, now the water is dirty and you can't see the fish. Or
you got a bloody nose, and now there's all this blood in the water, whatever.
Yeah.
Okay, you just leave like you all over it.
Yeah, because
that happens no matter what, or if you're careless while you're doing it.
So on that topic, why would someone stick their head in an aquarium with a bloody nose?
Good question.
I was thinking the bloody nose came because they stuck their head in the water. Why that would happen, I don't know. The salt water went up their nose and it irritated it, and so then the blood came out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's also a valid question to ask why they would do that with such a dirty head, but like that would potentially be a means of washing it. So I was a little bit more questioning the second one.
Yeah. Okay, sorry.
The basic, I'll describe the basic mechanics you're asking about. It's more of you're on a timer. The longer you take, the more energy you put into it, the more likely it is to be contaminated. Eventually, it's just going to be too messy, and then that's it.
Okay, all right.
Right, yeah, I mentioned in the introduction about how you're kind of manipulating mana in the area, and you're sort of doing that to see how the mana interacts with the spell, and doing all of that kind of thing can mess up the supernal symbology in the spell, and the nimbus that you see can become muddied and eventually mix, or in doing so you're also kind of mixing your own nimbus with it, and that's what ends up muddying everything, and then it ends up being, you almost see more of yourself in it just because of all of this.
Mm-hmm.
Fun thing, it's a crime.
Wait.
It's a magical crime to taint a mystery with your nimbus.
So do it within the time constraint.
So if you taint a mystery with your nimbus, you contact your Obermost friend and have them dispel the magic so nobody can find out that you did that.
Perfect.
It's a prime force. It's a patterning spell.
Oh no, I was thinking there's a dispel magic.
No, but there's a spell. There's a spell that directly cleans it.
No, that's you don't need that. You just get rid of the spell entirely. Delete the evidence. Destroy the evidence.
Destroy the evidence, which means you're also
I guess
destroying...
the other one is also destroying the evidence.
That means you're also destroying the mystery, though, in yours.
True.
Yeah. Okay.
You could use that spell to fix it though, and then reattempt the scrutiny. I guess we can move on to what you're actually doing.
Yeah. It's cool.
There's your revealing and scrutinizing, which are game terms, but we'll go into those a little bit still in the abstract, what you're really doing with those.
Wait, say those again, sorry.
You're revealing and scrutinizing.
Yeah, I think you described scrutinizing pretty well with the idea that you were kind of poking and prodding the thing to get, so to see how the mystery interacts with your nimbus, so that you're kind of poking and prodding it. Revelation is sort of the end result where you receive the magical information about the thing as you get like details about it.
So revelation is what comes from the intense looking.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. I guess kind of sticking with the game aspect of it a little bit. When you try to reveal information, you won't be able to reveal it. You won't even be able to attempt the revelation again until you've scrutinized further. And it's the scrutiny that actually comes with the risk of corrupting the spell.
So question about revelation.
Mm-hmm.
If you get revelation, like, I guess, since it's on a timer, and revelation is the ultimate goal, that when you're doing the scouring, when you're doing that, the really intentional mage sight.
Yeah, scrutinizing.
When you're scrutinizing, can you do it right to get the information without getting your fingerprints all over it?
Oh, yeah.
If you do it in the time frame.
Well, yeah, and it's basically, the way the mechanic's set up is like a gamble. Like, you have this many safe attempts, and then after that, you run the risk. So you can get to a point where you're like, okay, I've got as much as I can get, and then you have to make the choice of whether you want to go further or not.
Right.
Okay. And if you got the information, then you're good. If you haven't gotten the information, you're like, all right, let's do it one more time.
You actually can attempt to get the revelation without any scrutiny at all. Mm-hmm. It's just a very hard check.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I bet you'd have to be pretty like high in your magical ability to do that.
And without doing any scrutiny, though, if you attempt a revelation without any scrutiny, you only gain surface information about the effect. So you don't get the how it was made, but you do get like what the effect is and what it's doing.
So you could actually start out with that, get a little bit of a revelation, and then go, you know what? I need a little bit more, and then dive even further.
Yes, exactly.
Cool. So you can get scrutiny not scrutiny.
Revelation.
You can get revelation with the Active Mage Sight.
It's still focused.
Okay.
Since we're actually talking about this revelation and the surface level information and stuff, there's actually, so going into the game mechanics a little bit more still, there is something the mystery will have called an opacity. And so the opacity has a certain kind of intensity to it, and how opaque the mystery is determines the depth of the knowledge that you'll get from your mage sight. And when it's very opaque, you might even get false information that was planted there by the caster as a misdirection tactic.
Yes.
Devious.
Right.
Well, they know other mages are going to be looking at it.
It's true.
The thing is, a spell is really dangerous for a mage to have around. It gives tons of information. On top of that, every spell has a connected sympathy range to its caster. So simply having it around can make it puts you at major risk.
And connected sympathy is going into the sympathetic range attainment that you can get as a space mage. Connected is basically the strongest level of sympathy between two things.
It literally means they're like the same thing.
Right.
No, is that something that mages don't do that with all their spells, but they would do that with important ones.
And
ones that they have to leave on something. Or, yeah. Hey, that is interesting. But that makes sense. It's like, it's a buried treasure. And of course, you're not going to put an X right over top of your buried treasure. You want to misdirect because that's your treasure.
Yeah.
Yeah. Now, if someone dispels one of the spells you put on something,
it triggers your peripheral sight.
So you would be like, shit,
no.
Somebody just ruined that spell.
Actually, the mechanics say that if one of your spells is affected, it triggers your peripheral sight. You know if one of your spells is targeted.
Yeah. Do you know who targeted it?
No.
You don't really know the nature of. With Peripheral Mage Sight, it's just you kind of know something's going on.
My recommendation is to drop the spell if you feel someone is targeting it.
I mean, don't let them destroy it. You destroy it first?
Yeah.
Why?
Because you don't want them to have access to it.
Because they might not be destroying it. They might be
hijacking it.
Yeah, and they might even, as he mentioned, they could be using it as a connected sympathy as a way of casting on you specifically.
Didn't you?
Oh, yeah.
Didn't Odin have a duel directly through that in the Florida game?
I don't recall what you're talking about.
You and the main villain had a psychic battle. He was targeting you with the spell, and I believe you ended up using the spell he was using to target you to target him back, and you ended up having a fight. Yeah. That's how you killed, and then you killed him.
I wouldn't. That sounds like a way I would have handled that.
Yeah.
See, I remember it was either you or Adam who killed him, and I was so upset just because I had the perfect way I wanted to kill him, but it's okay.
Yeah, that was the guy we ended up trying to kill a few times, and then he caught on to us, and then we had to go back in time and try again.
No, we had to go back in time and not kill him.
Well,
no, wait.
Yeah,
we did. Yeah, we went back.
You killed the guy who had actually caused the problems, but you recognized that he had an enabler who gave him the resources to do it. So you had to rewind time to be able to target him. And he had caught on and was actively there were multiple. He had multiple attempts to fight you from a distance. When you were talking to Slim's daughter, he tried to do one last attack, and during that event, Odin grabbed a hold of the spell as a connection and used it to target him.
Right. I think that was actually how we found out where he was. Mm-hmm. We didn't actually kill him with that. We found out where he was through that, and then we went back in time again to just go there and kill him. Because I think I recall we were kind of just sitting out in a car a few blocks away.
I remember it being in the living room, and the entire fight happened in the living room.
The problem is we fought people in that game and then rewound time. So I remember the car.
The perils of having a time mage in your party.
Right. So you're probably thinking about one of the fights. I remember the car. I slightly remember the living room, but I don't know which one came first.
There was the car when he attempted to, because he was a fate mage, so like he did a couple. He actually took out some interesting spells, like he actually caused a plane to crash on the house you guys were on. That was one of the things you had to like.
He didn't actually cause it. We had going back to Mage Sight. We had seen that there was a spell on it, and we scrutinized it and found out that it was a potency 10 miracle spell to cause a plane to crash into the house if we entered it.
Yeah, something like that. That's what
I recall.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And we didn't enter the house. We said, fuck that, and left.
And I think that was the effect that actually caused the other villain to come back to life.
But we were able to make that decision because of Mage Sight.
Yes.
Oh, all right.
I think that is all we have to talk about Mage Sight. There was that little bit of tangent that was not really, but we brought it back to Mage Sight.
Well, it helped describe Mage Sight in a...
True.
Yeah, I was going to say a tactile way, but that's not right.
Yeah. So I just want to announce real quick a change in our episode schedule. We will keep doing once a week, but we are going to start doing 2 series in tandem, where next week we are going to be taking a little bit of a departure from the setting and the game system, and we're going to talk a little bit pop culture. And we're going to go into one of Drew's favorite movies, Practical Magic, and talk about the magic that occurs in that movie and how it can be interpreted through a Mage the Awakening lens.
I'm very excited.
Of course. And the week after that, we will be kind of continuing this series, the game setting and the mechanics series, going into the actual Chronicles of Darkness game system, and starting to talk about the actual numbers and what you're doing as a player when you're playing the game.
Mm-hmm. Which is the hardest part of the game for me. The technical and the numbers is, I'm always going to Josh, and now what do I have?
Yeah.
Exactly.
So, I need this refresher. I need this intricate discussion about it.
Yeah. Yeah, but it is good to have the theory behind everything before we actually start talking about
totally
the pop culture stuff, which is kind of what we want to go into a little bit.
And I'm very excited for the pop culture stuff. Not just Practical Magic, but we're going to do other movies and other shows and stuff. Because Mage is so versatile in the way you can do magic and creative that looking at these movies and these TV shows, you can really go, oh, I can do almost anything. Mm-hmm. I love it. So
yeah, and even if you in the premise of the show, the characters are obviously not mages, but it's still interesting to think about, well, what if they are mages and they're just doing all of this stuff through magic and it's just kind of appearing to happen the way it's happening.
The way it's happening, yeah.
And you can think about how that might occur.
Mm-hmm. Oh, so look forward to that next week. And if you can't get enough of us, please go check out our Instagram and our Patreon. Mage Sight for both. Talk to you next week. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.